Go interactive with X-Ray, where we bring trading experts to you live in the platform. Choose sessions, watch live market analysis, and catch up on your favorite market insights anytime. Ask questions and go one-to-one with leading experts on gold, oil, FX, crypto, indices, and equities. X-Ray, your very own analysis team, right at your fingertips. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
2020 was a difficult year for us all. World economies have crashed. Financial markets showed us again how important it is to be aware of the global economy. And, believe it or not, many people have profited from the movements in the markets. This December, we bring you the biggest open source webinar series for beginner traders to help each and every one of you understand the basics of online trading and investments from industry experts. Learn from the CEOs is the biggest webinar series organized by InstructFX with the extraordinary participation of 5 CEOs of 5 top Forex companies worldwide. Join us live on Monday, the 14th of December at 1700 GMT for the grand opening with an amazing webinar on trading currency pairs with João Monteiro, CEO at 4XC. On Tuesday, the 15th of December, trading stocks and indices is the topic of the day with Phil Adler, CEO at ETX Capital, straight from the heart of London. Wednesday, the 16th, the week only gets better with Joe Rundle, CEO at Markets.com for an amazing webinar on trading commodities. Just when you thought that things can't get any better, on Thursday, the 17th, we have the cryptocurrencies trading webinar with our surprise guest. Finally, on Friday the 18th, it's your time to shine in the Fidelity Gala Awards, where InstructFX is rewarding you for watching us live with amazing prizes. Join the biggest open source webinar of 2020 and learn what most Forex brokers don't want you to know from 5 reputable CEOs. Click on the link below and reserve your seat for the biggest open source webinar of 2020, hosted by yours truly, Andrew, the Chart Whisperer. Learn, observe, trade with InstructFX.
And we're live. What's happening, people? Good morning, America. Good afternoon, Europe. And welcome, everyone, to our live stream. We're only 3 hours away from the last webinar of the series, guys. Trading cryptocurrencies is the topic this evening with my surprise guest. We're going to start in exactly 3 hours. You can find the link in the description down below if you want to book your VIP seat for the biggest open webinar series of 2020 organized by InstructFX. Don't forget to join us tomorrow evening at 1700 hours GMT as well for the Gala Fidelity Awards, where InstructFX is rewarding you for learning. Now let's get down to business, guys, and see what is happening in the markets today, Thursday, 17th of December 2020. And in a few minutes, we will have my guest for today joining us. We're going to have Neil Wilson, Chief Market Analyst at Markets.com, joining us for a great round of market talks. Let's see what is happening in the markets today. We're going to start with a breaking news, guys. The French President Emanuel Marcon has been tested positive for COVID-19. Bitcoin, the almighty Bitcoin, is currently trading at new record highs after breaking the $20,000 mark yesterday. U.S. stocks are seen opening higher today on good news about the long-awaited stimulus package and also the latest statement from the Fed that will continue the bond buying program. The FDA is expected to approve Modernas vaccine emergency use as U.S. is getting ready to roll out the second vaccine. Gold futures eyed the 1900 level once again on the back of a weak US dollar, and crude oil futures are trading higher, just about $48 a barrel. And in case you missed the announcement, guys, in just 3 hours from now, we start the last webinar of the series, Trading Cryptocurrencies, this evening at 1700 hours GMT. This show is proudly sponsored by our partners at Markets.com. US markets open, coming up. Right, and here we are, people. Let's have a quick look at the economic calendar first of all and see what happened today. Big day in the economic calendar once again. I don't know what happened this week, guys. We have tons of announcements every day in the economic calendar. As we get closer to Christmas, as we get closer to year end, more and more countries are announcing everything they can announce for this year. We started this morning with announcements on the Swiss franc, and at lunchtime we had 3 announcements in the Eurozone, which all 3 of them came out as expected. We had the consumer price index at 1400 hours GMT plus 2. We had a series of announcements from UK, guys. We had the Bank of England vote hike, and then we had the quantitative easing total, which came out better than expected at 875 billion versus an expectation of 825 billion only. Then we had the interest rate decision, guys, announced in the same time, which was kept unchanged at 0.1%. Then in the afternoon, an hour ago, the announcement started on the US dollar, guys. We had the building permits coming out at 6.2%, or 1.639 million, better than expected. We see green figures today in the economic calendar for the US dollar. We had the housing starts as well, which came out better than expected at 1.547 million versus an expectation of only 1.530. Now, there is a bad news, guys. We had the initial jobless claims coming out way above what consensus had predicted at 885,000 versus an expectation of 800,000 flat. And the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index, which came out at just 11.1 versus an expectation of 20 from consensus. We're still going to have a few announcements, a couple of press conferences from the European Central Bank starting this evening at 1800 hours and 7:30 p.m. GMT plus 2. And then we're going to have just before midnight, we're going to have the trade balance from New Zealand. Very big day in the economic calendar. Very big day. We saw the European currencies going through the roof today on the back of a very weak, almost I'd say crippled US dollar. Let's have a quick look at top 5 things to know in the markets today, guys, and then we're gonna have Neil Wilson joining us for an amazing round of market talks. We start with number 1 on the board. The US dollar hits lowest since May 2018 on stimulus and Brexit talks. The dollar index fell to its lowest since May 2018, dropping below 90 as progress on a fiscal stimulus package and the promise of loose Federal Reserve policy for years to come encourage moves into risk assets and alternative assets. The biggest beneficiary of the move was again the Bitcoin, the good almighty Bitcoin, guys, which surged above $23,000 last night, having broken through the 20K barrier only hours earlier. Commodities are also big beneficiaries with copper futures hitting $3.60 a pound for the first time in nearly 8 years. Wow, what a big news. With iron ore futures stay just below the 8-year high they posted earlier in the week. Cotton futures hit their highest since April 2019. Also, the euro and the sterling hit their highest levels against the US dollar since early 2018, helped by a steady drip of mini agreements on mutual trading arrangements after December 31st, again, with the European Union and the United Kingdom. Number 2 on the board, guys, new suit ratchets up antitrust campaign versus big tech. A campaign to cut big tech down to size racketed up a notch as 10 U.S. states announced a fresh lawsuit against Google, accusing it of running an illegal digital advertising monopoly in cahoots with Facebook. The two have enjoyed an effective duopoly in online advertising for much of the last decade. The suit alleged to that the two colluded to rig advertising auctions in a deal code named after characters from Star Wars. Why now? Why now? This thing has been happening for 10 years now, guys, for over 10 years now. How come no one saw this happening or no one took action yet? Let's see what's going to happen. Now, obviously, today after the market opening, keep a close eye on Google Futures and Facebook Facebook share price, and very likely they will both go down after the US Open. We're moving on to number 3 on the board. Stocks set to open higher. Stimulus stocks grind forward. The U.S. stock markets are set to open higher as negotiators in Washington and Europe grind towards agreement on a U.S. fiscal stimulus package and an EU-UK post-Brexit free trade agreement. That would be very beneficial for everyone, guys. So why not? By 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Dow Jones futures were up 142 points or 0.5%, while the S&P 500 futures were up 0.6%, and Nasdaq futures were up 0.5%. Stocks likely to be in focus later include Moderna, whose COVID-19 vaccine is set to receive a recommendation for emergency use authorization from a key panel of advisors of the FDA. In related news, Novavax stock may also benefit from news that the European Union has reached a preliminary deal to buy doses of its still experimental vaccine. Let's move on to number 4 on the board, guys. Jobless claims led a big day for the economic calendar after a disappointing 1.1% drop in retail sales in November. The market will be looking to the release of data on jobless claims, housing starts, and building permits, which were announced. Yeah, they came out a few minutes ago. We had a look at them in the economic calendar a minute ago. And last but not the least, guys, number 5 on the board, crude oil supported by EIA inventory draw. Crude oil prices also hit their highest level since March, with the weak dollar and U.S. government stockpile data helping them to shrug off fears about the near-term demand trajectory. By 6:45 Eastern Time, U.S. crude futures were up 0.3% at $47.99 a barrel, while Brent futures, the global benchmark, were up 0.2% at $51.18 a barrel. Right. Yesterday, guys, when we had the crude oil inventories, the Energy Information Administration inventory data had contradicted those of the American Petroleum Institute, showing a drop of 3.1 million barrels. That was even greater than the 1.5 million draw expected. These are the top 5 things to know in the markets today, guys. Let's do something. Let's take a 30-second break, and then we're going to have Neil Wilson with us for a great round of market talks. We're coming back live in 30 seconds, guys, with Neil Wilson.
Keep your finger on the market pulse with the News Alerts tool. Stay up to date on the latest sentiment across all the major asset classes. Uncover bullish or bearish signals tied to specific assets that could be developing before major price moves, and track how news sentiment correlated with price in the past. Track the news volume on an asset, its fear index, and get a better feel for its underlying strength. All with News Alerts, your central hub for market information. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, traders, we are back, and we are back with Neil Wilson, as usual, from the heart of London, Chief Market Analyst at Markets.com. Good afternoon, Neil. How are you?
Hi, Andrew. Yeah, very well, thank you.
How is your day going so far?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We're just sort of counting down to Christmas here, so just tying off some loose ends and hoping for a nice couple of weeks off.
Oh, 2 weeks off. You definitely know someone if you can afford to get 2 weeks off. Now, Neil, I can't help myself not asking you, what is happening with the Bitcoin? I mean, we were all expecting the 20K mark to be reached out, but 23,000 for one Bitcoin. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, once that 20, you saw it yesterday, once the 20, the sort of the bear's defense has crumbled at 20K. Once those levels were triggered, it was just a flood of buying, and it ran all the way up towards almost 24K within hours. So it's a massive surge. I think a lot of orders probably placed, just above that 20K level, just in expectation that if once you break that dam, it's going to be a flood of buying higher, and that's exactly what happened. Probably seeing some paring back now. I'd expect to trade sort of in that kind of zone between 20 and 23. 23 and a half probably for a while as you sort of consolidate this move. But yeah, it's obviously quite an exciting time if you're long Bitcoin.
We're looking at the Bitcoin charts right now, $23,088 for one Bitcoin on the Bitfinex exchange. Amazing. What could have caused this huge rally yesterday?
Well, I think there's a lot going on under the bonnet of crypto markets. It's not my area, but from a sort of market kind of position and the sort of fundamentals and the technicals, I would just say that on the technical front, obviously that dam bursting at 20k, it was important, but on a fundamental reason, I think there's a lot of liquidity that needs to find a home right now, and that's really what drives a lot of the price action in all markets, whether that's FX or commodities, or but in particular gold, in particular stocks and bonds, and that sort of cross asset correlation that you see is playing out. And I think it's a liquidity thing. It's because we're thinking there's going to be this $900 billion relief package in the US that's going to put more money into people's pockets. And what do they do with that? Well, we saw over the summer what they did. They bought up a lot of stocks. They were buying call options on Robinhood in the US. That's the new sort of behavior, and I think people are also alongside that buying cryptos. And it's seen as a sort of millennial kind of gold. So I think people are with the liquidity that's there, it needs to find a home. And increasingly, I think Bitcoin is kind of cannibalizing some of that demand for gold. And it doesn't take much for a small amount of sort of movement out of gold into Bitcoin, say, in order to really ramp the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that might be an explanation. How likely is a correction as things stand right now for Bitcoin?
I think it's always ripe for corrections because it's very volatile. There's not anything, you got to go back to fundamentals. There's no intrinsic value as such. Therefore, it's speculation. The reason that you're buying it is speculation. I think there's a fair chance of corrections. I think you'd only need to move down $2,000 or $2,300 to get a correction, and I think we've pretty much already seen that today. So at one point. So I think corrections are part and parcel of Bitcoin. I think 10% moves are part and parcel. I think 20% move, a sort of bear market. You're down to around about 18,000 or something on that. That's a chunkier move. I think that would reflect more kind of elevated risk for long term. I think if you get into bear market territory with Bitcoin here, where it is here, because you drop below that 20k psychological level, you start to test.
Hold on, there's
a slightly different market.
All right. Now, as we're looking at the charts right now, we see the candlesticks consolidating at 23,100. But I'm keeping an eye on that 20 moving average at 22,000 on the downside, and as well as that 50 MA at 21,035. And I'm afraid some traders will take profits after this incredible rally, and they might push that correction to happen. So keep an eye on that 22 and the 21 level to start with, and then we take it from there. Would you go long on Bitcoin right now, Neil, personally?
Well, I don't have any position in Bitcoin at all, so I'm not a believer as such. It's not really my thing. So no, I wouldn't. I'm never really looking at cryptos on a personal basis. I think the technicals are and the fundamentals are a bit worrisome where it is, but you got to just say that the institutional buying that's going on and there's a real buy-in, intellectual buy-in that's happened in the last year or two among institutional investors, and I think that is probably very supportive of prices going forward. And the more central banks print money, the greater sort of scarcity value you get from Bitcoin. You got inflation probably coming in the US and elsewhere next year. So yeah, lots of bullish kind of cases that you can make for Bitcoin right now, though.
But you wouldn't go long on it personally.
Well, too conservative an investor.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. We need conservative investors in a world where the millennials are driving the financial market, at least the cryptocurrency sector. All right, now back to the conventional assets. Neil, 122.50 this afternoon for Euro USD and 136 for the pound for the cable. What an impressive rally! What an impressive rally! The news from Brussels was that the Brexit deal is only hanging on the fishing rights right now. And the deal is very likely to happen, and probably that's what boosted the sentiment, pushing the currencies higher. If that's the case, how likely is it to see the pound at 140 by the end of the year, though?
Yeah, well, I think if you get a Brexit deal, you probably see 140. We're running up to 136, and it's still touch and go whether or not there's going to be a deal. I think obviously there's a lot of dollar weakness. We've seen the dollar really break down. That is that's something that we've been sort of looking at for some time, the dollar breaking down. And as we said before, there's not a lot of support down to 88 on the dollar index. And I think dollar weakness is key here, but clearly Brexit, the market seems to think that there is a deal coming, although the sort of news flow and the time scale that we've got, it suggests that it's probably more like 50-50. I think you see 140 on a deal quite easily. Really, we're not that far off that now, and on the downside, you're looking at 120 potentially on no deal before sort of pairing those losses and coming back towards 125.
Yeah, looking at the charts right now, we're at 135.93 as things stand right now. We're inches away from the 140 level, somewhere there. Where is it? There. And then what gives me a bit of hope is that 200 moving average at 149.58. But we might be months from reaching that. But anyway, very good potential to the upside for the pound, at least as things stand right now.
Yeah, I think Brexit, as long as Brexit gets sort of sorted with a deal, and then you're also looking at vaccines and sort of vaccine-led recovery in the UK, and a lot of sort of equity inflows as well. A lot of people are turning bullish on UK stocks on the assumption that Brexit gets, sorted and vaccines see a return to normal, and those sort of cyclical weightings in the UK market and the global exposure to global growth, for example, mean that you get a sort of inflows to UK equities that should support the pound. And I think you see the property market picking up again, and so there's lots of reasons to be bullish, but it rests on a Brexit deal, and it rests on vaccines being successfully rolled out.
And if that's all good on the Europe side, pushing the European currencies higher, where does that leave the US dollar? We had the initial jobless claims coming out minutes ago, way above what economists have predicted. Most economic data coming from US lately is very weak. And with a weak US dollar, America's exports should be booming, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a weaker dollar is, no one likes to really admit it, but the weaker currency tends to help your exports. I think that, the data in the US is reflective of the sort of November and into December surge in cases and new restrictions that have been imposed. And that just makes a stimulus deal that we think is going to come probably today now. I think there seems to be some positive noises on that, potentially today. More stimulus, more the Fed last night saying it's going to keep printing the money. All that means more issuing, the US government issuing more debt, more dollars being created. Each dollar you create, you reduce its value. So it's pointing in that direction, I think. And so the dollar is seen as being the sort of having the weaker hand. It's certainly the sort of first half of 2021.
Might this be the plan for a faster recovery of the U.S. economy, Neil, making the U.S. dollar cheap to boost exports? I mean, if we look now at the U.S. dollar index, we see it trading at 89.72 on a monthly chart. It dropped below that 200 moving average. Great potential to the downside as things stand right now, and we might see it trading as low as 83.59 or somewhere there in that region. Might this be the plan for America to recover faster, to boost the economy faster?
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the plan. It'd be a happy coincidence and a happy byproduct of loose monetary policy and aggressive fiscal easing. I think that's probably, and they'll be very happy to see a weaker dollar. Conversely, the ECB is going to be very, very unhappy about seeing the euro strengthen like this. That's going to make it much harder for it to hit its targets and achieve that sort of recovery in the eurozone. So I guess there is a risk of currency wars, trying to talk down central banks and so on, trying to talk down currencies. I think the ECB would clearly like a weaker euro. I think conversely, though, the UK could do with a slightly stronger pound right now.
True. However, Christine Lagarde was saying last week at the press conference that she boosted the package, the COVID relief package, but they're not going to spend it all. She was very dovish in her statements, and I think that's what brought a bit of positivity on the European currencies. The fact that the ECB seems to be on top of the situation as things stand right now. They acted much faster than the US when it came to stimulus measures and fighting COVID. Yeah, because UK, but Europe was the first part of the world accepting the vaccine and pushing the vaccine. And I think that's what that led to stronger European currencies. But my God, the US dollar scares me. What's your view for this year end for the US dollar? Down, all the way down?
For this year, yeah, I mean, I'd be looking at around about 89 maybe. I mean, you see there's always a risk of these short squeezes, but yeah, I think probably looking towards 89 into the year end. I think you just see a continued weakness. This trend, I yet to see signs that this trend is reversing. So I think you've got to go with the trend as it is.
Even 88 from what I see on the charts, even 88 might be an interesting level for the US dollar. Anyhow, let's see what's going to happen. Meanwhile, we see that Moderna will very likely be approved today by the FDA.
Yeah,
do you have any on that?
Sorry?
Do you have any intel on Moderna?
No, nothing specifically, nothing more than what comes across the wires on the tape. But yeah, I think clearly all national governments are looking to approve vaccines as quickly as possible, really, and get moving. As long as they think it's safe, and I think it looks like the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines are by and large safe. So I think we'll be seeing those being rolled out in the near future.
Fingers crossed. Right, Neil, thank you ever so much for being with us today. By the way, last night I had Joe Rundle, your CEO, and the main sponsor of FactFX Daily Broadcasts. Amazing market talks last night. Amazing webinar. I'll post it on the social media very soon so everyone can watch. All right, no problem. I'll send it to you as soon as I have it up there. Neil, thank you ever so much. Have a lovely weekend. Join us tomorrow night for the Fidelity Gala Awards, if you're not doing anything around the 1500 hours GMT. And you're going to see Joe Rundle and the other CEOs having a closing statement about this webinar marathon week that we had. It's going to be really, really amazing. So I'm looking forward to see you tomorrow evening. Thank you ever so much for being with us today, Neil. We're going to get back to you on Monday for a new round of market talks. Let's see. Maybe by Monday, we're going to see Bitcoin back at 15,000. Right. I'll talk to you on Monday. Have a nice weekend, Neil, and thank you for your time today. Bye-bye. Right, guys. Let's have a quick look at the charts of the day and the signals of the day. See what is going on. Right, we are, what are we, 20 minutes into the U.S. trading session. We're looking at crude oil futures trading at $48.33 after they pushed higher for the last couple of hours. After they came down, testing that 20 moving average. Potential to the upside for crude oil futures this afternoon. Let's have a quick look at the euro, guys. The most traded currency pair in the world, Euro USD, currently trading at 122.52 after an amazing rally in the last couple of trading sessions. There is great potential to the upside, but just like Neil was saying a minute ago, I don't know if the ECB is very happy with such a strong euro, because it makes exports from Europe more difficult, especially towards the US. Moving on to the pound is doing again tremendously well on positive news that a Brexit deal might be sealed between UK and the European Union. 135.97, 136 for the pound. Amazing performance. And if we go by technical analysis, guys, I'm going to show you something very interesting on the charts right now. There we go. This is the pound. So Elliott waves. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Elliott waves. Usually the market moves in 5 ways. 5 waves. Yeah, in one direction when it enters a trend. So in an uptrend, you're going to have 3 waves up and 2 waves down. So in this case, have a look at the chart. Could we say this is the first wave? Probably yes. Yeah, again, from technical point of view. This is the second wave, the pullback, followed by another rally, which is the third wave. Okay, we don't know if the third wave finished or not. Then we're going to see a tiny pullback again. And then we will probably end this rally with another push higher. Yeah, this is how technical analysis works. This is how Elliott waves work. Great potential to the upside for the pound. As news comes from Brussels, as news comes from UK, we see the markets reacting and we see the traders taking action. On the other hand, guys, we're looking at USD JPY trading way below trading below the 103 level, 102.94. 20 minutes into the US trading session. Very sharp drop in the last couple of trading sessions. You can see the drop, guys. Amazing sharp drop. The RSI and the stochastic, the technical indicators, are literally crawling into the oversold levels. Now, let's move on to the Aussie dollar, guys. Let's see how the Aussie dollar performed. Wow, very good performance for the Aussie dollar this afternoon. 0.7629 for the Aussie dollar. Just like the European currencies, we saw an amazing rally on the back of a weak USD. RSI stochastic turned around from the overbought levels, but there is still great potential to the upside on the back of a weak US dollar. USD CAD on a 60-minute chart, guys. Again, sharp drop 20 minutes into the US trading session. 127 flat for the USD CAD with the RSI and the stochastic still pointing downwards. There is still way to go for the US dollar. Let's see what happened with the benchmarks, guys, with the US indices, with the S&P 500. There we go. S&P 500, the positive opening this afternoon, 37.1894 for the S&P 500. Dow Jones the same. What a great opening for the Dow Jones, 30,290 for Dow Jones this afternoon. RSI stochastic still indicate a potential rally to the upside. Moving on to the US dollar index, guys, on a 60-minute chart, 89.70. The US dollar index dropped below its benchmark at $90, 89.70, 89.69 as things stand right now. Again, great potential to the downside for the US dollar index, but that can only mean one thing, guys. Gold futures, what an impressive rally! $1,900, $1,901 for an ounce of gold for gold futures this afternoon. What an impressive rally! What an impressive rally for gold futures. RSI stochastic way into the overbought levels. We might see a bit of a pullback, guys, on gold futures. Don't get carried away with your long trades. Wait for that tiny pullback to happen, because it's very likely to happen, and then calculate your entry to avoid a drawdown. Right, now let's move on to Brent oil futures, which just like crude oil pushed a bit higher after they dropped initially, testing that 20 moving average to the downside. 51.58 for Brent oil futures this afternoon. RSI stochastic turned around, pointing upwards. There is potential to the upside for crude oil and Brent oil futures. Silver futures, guys, 26.25 for silver futures. Impressive rally for silver, just like gold. Let's see what's going to happen from here. Maybe if we can increase the time frame. Yes, there we go. We can get an indication. We see silver futures pushing through a very interesting support level, resistance level right now. If they're going to manage to push through that level, then probably traders will set their first take profit targets towards the 128 flat, 127, somewhere in that region for long positions. The price is well supported by all 3 moving averages, including the 200 MA at the bottom. RSI stochastic still point upwards, so there is potential to the upside for gold and silver futures. But we're going to have a look at the signals in just a minute and take it from there. And Bitcoin, guys, the good almighty Bitcoin still trading above the 23,000 mark, $23,019 for one Bitcoin this afternoon. What an impressive rally. What an impressive rally. We don't have a comparison, guys. We are literally off the charts. We're in uncharted territories right now. We don't know where this rally will stop and when the correction will start. Just in case you're going to have a correction starting, guys, please keep an eye on that 20 moving average there at 19,300, 19,250, somewhere in that region, as we might see a retest of the 20,000 level. Now, from the 20,000 level, if you're going to see that retest and we're going to see the candlesticks consolidating around that level, that means Bitcoin is set for new highs, guys. Yeah, so 20,000 and upwards from there on. But first, we need a confirmation from the candlesticks that they are set to settle above the 20,000 mark, or at least above the 19,300, as that's the previous high. Now, Ethereum is doing tremendously well as well. $663.10 for Ethereum this afternoon. Wow, Ethereum gained over $100 in the last 24 hours. Very, very good performance. Again, the price is well supported by all three moving averages. We might see a retest. We might see some traders taking profits, creating a bit of a meltdown in the price. So keep an eye on 612, as that's the previous high. We might see a correction to that level, $612, $618. Again, $662.18 this afternoon for Ethereum. Guys, do not get carried away. I'm telling you from 10 years of experience, do not get carried away. It happened to me. It happened to many traders. We all got carried away at some point in our life when we saw a fantastic rally like this, and we went with long positions, unfortunately. And as soon as we went on with the long positions, the market started the correction. Now, in most of the cases, or in some cases, the trades were successful, but we had to take a bit of a drawdown on the trading account. So if you have a very small trading account, guys, that is not really recommended. Yeah, big drawdowns on a small trading account, they don't go well together. Right, this is what's happening with the markets. Let's have a quick look at some trading signals, guys, and see what investing.com thinks about the main assets today. 4 green on the euro, 4 green on the pound versus the US dollar this afternoon. Great potential to the upside. USD JPY, we see 4 strong sell positions. We saw the signal on the pound, guys, on the GBP, just changing from a strong buy to a buy, and the neutral, yeah, that we see there. We might be looking at a bit of a correction, yeah, a bit of a pullback after this impressive rally. Allow the markets to settle. We're only half an hour into the US trading session. USD JPY, 4 red for USD JPY. USD CHF, we see strong buy positions on the small time frames, but the daily remains a strong sell. AUD USD, signs of strength versus the US dollar, with the daily and the hourly remaining a strong buy. USD CAD, on the other hand, we see 4 red for the USD CAD. Great potential to the downside. The Kiwi dollar versus the US dollar is expected to strengthen, 4 green, 4 strong buy for the Kiwi dollar. The euro, 3 red for the euro versus the Japanese yen, strong sell positions. The daily remains a buy, though. Euro versus the CHF, 4 strong buy, 4 green for the euro. Have a look at euro CHF, guys, as it's a bit clear, and USD Canadian is very clear as well. Quick look at commodities. Let's see if I was right. Let's see if gold and silver still hold that. Oh my God. Bear with me for a second, guys. Bear with me for a second. Let's see what is going on. Right. Okay. Very difficult. Very, very difficult. Right. Gold and silver still have 4 green, guys. Great potential to the upside for gold and silver. Copper, 4 green, 4 copper as well. Right. This is it from my side this afternoon, guys. Join us in exactly 2 hours from now for the last webinar of the series, Trading Cryptocurrencies and Blockchain, with my surprise guest. Until then, remember to trade responsibly and may all your trades be in the money.